What's up, Ringside Collectibles and WrestlingFigures.com fans? We're at that special moment, that moment in time where we get to ask the Mattel WWE design team your questions and get them answered. I'm here with Steve Ozer and Robert Rudman. Guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining us for the Q&A. Tell us how you've been. What's been going on?
Nothing's been going on. No reveals, no events, nothing.
No.
You know,
It's
low-key season for wrestling figs, I think.
It's been like a boring snooze fest in wrestling figure land, right?
Been very quiet. Yeah, eerily quiet.
Absolute lies out of all of our mouths right now, because it's been absolutely incredible. We had the Mega Powers launch party, plenty of reveals there. We're now doing a version of Ringside Fest here. We've got some reveals there. I think the first question that someone always manages to ask, which I always find to be a really nice question. Each of you let us know, what is your favorite item, either on display from the Mega Powers launch party, or that we spoke about in our other reveal video. What was your absolute favorite? Robert, what do you think?
My absolute favorite.
It's tough. There was a lot.
It is tough.
I know. I'm such a bad person to ask who's like who their favorite is, because I've often got like a chunk. I love the new WrestleMania 39 elites, not the WrestleMania, sorry, the elites that are representing from this past WrestleMania. Yeah. It really feels like that we're recreating like a lot of those matches right off the bat, which is fantastic. The retro 2-packs, our first entry into 2-packs, is like really exciting, and just continued growth of the retro line. And the Mega Powers 2-pack itself is such a dream come true kind of action figure thing we've been talking about for a while. I mean, it's been a while since that Miss Elizabeth has been out. We were like, one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen. And the fact that we created that along with those handshake hands, it's perfect. I really like so much of what we do, but all that stuff comes immediately to mind.
Yeah, you have a few picks. There's nothing wrong with that. No problem with that at all. How about you, Steve?
I mean, they're all our babies, right? Like, you know, we had a hand in the creation of all these figures, so they all mean something to us. And, you know, of course, legends that we grew up with, they're all meaningful when we get to include them in the line. So seeing this Ultimate Andre come to life is really exciting. Giving back now to the superstars of today, you know, figures of people who really appreciate it, you know, Rhea Ripley, Austin Theory, you know, getting figures of those guys out, Seth Rollins, you know, they all appreciate what, you know, and they know what a big deal it is to have action figures made of them. So it's great to do that. But I think my favorite reveal, because of it was just like perseverance in getting it made eventually, was that Mr. America. So we all know, you know, with classic superstars or ruthless aggression, you know, there was a Mr. America plan, and it just couldn't be released for whatever reason. And, you know, there are just like characters and figures that are on my personal wish list, which is also your guys's personal wish list, right? All of us, that I'm just determined to make happen. And I've just been fortunate enough to just check so many names and items off of that list over the years. But this was one I had to make it happen. Like, I was determined to get Mr. America out there, especially the Chase version, because that's the one I personally wanted. But, you know, the journey of getting that figure made, it's just so awesome that it's finally happening.
One of the things that's a real kind of funny detail to me about Mr. America is when we were discussing packaging, he's got a first time in the line call out because nobody knows who it is. That was someone's assistance here. Some people know. But it was an actual discussion we had. So if anyone's like, why does Mr. America have a first time in the line? I mean, no one knows who Mr. America is, despite the fact that swappable head.
Yeah, his one line, right? I'm not Hulk Hogan, brother.
That's right. He passed the lie detector test and everything.
He sure did. So yeah, really exciting thinking about those and thinking about everything we've seen, and I'm looking forward to seeing those get actual releases as well. The next question, which I think ties in a little bit to some of our reveals as well. So this person is calling out the fact that Seth Rollins has had a lot of new figures, but it's been kind of some older head scans, head sculpts used. They still look good, but could we expect a new one based on his current persona? We saw that, of course, just now in Ultimate Edition 17, right? There's not just a new head on the figure, but 2 additional new heads packaged with it. Is this going to be how it is for Seth Rollins moving forward? Is he kind of evolved into his new persona in terms of head sculpts and design?
Well, to answer the question, will there be new Seth Rollins head sculpts? Yes.
Correct answer.
So Bill as a designer, and always, I don't want to 100% speak for him. It's just, I can speak, based on my interactions and what I've learned from him, working with him over the years, is he just wants to use the best heads at his disposal, that are tooled, to fit the figures he's making, or when appropriate, tool new heads up, right? So I did see the comments on the recently or soon coming Seth Rollins Elite figure, and the reuse of an older head. To me, I just think, and this isn't a conversation I had with him, I just think, in my educated opinion, is that he just selected a scan or a look that was fitting of the expression needed for that version of Seth Rollins, right? The open mouth laughter, and reception when people see it, you never know sometimes, right? In theory, like I would have thought that was a home run idea of using that laughing head sculpt. Some people didn't like it, and that's okay, because we'll do more Seths, right? We'll do more Seths and more Seths from this version of his character. And you can swap heads from that Ultimate Edition. That's the beauty of Elites now, is heads are swappable. So, swap away and make it your own, and make it the version that you personally want it to be.
I actually find that to be a very interesting question, because especially recently, Seth has undergone so many unique transformations that I feel like we've done so many unique Seth Rollins heads. He's got a bunch. He's kind of been like almost like a trailblazer figure in a certain way. He was one of our first True FX guys, and he's had like a lot of, I don't know. I feel like we've seen a ton. Maybe it's just because we do a lot of sets, because he's got so many good looks, and he's, everyone likes him. Everyone loves like collecting him. So yeah, new Seth Rollins heads.
Yeah, for sure. There's also anticipation as someone kind of evolves on television, right? And that's just the way that it is. There's nothing wrong with being excited. You can consider maybe holding the question off until the reveals come next time.
That's fine. People like what they want.
Yeah, sure. Of course. It's nothing wrong with asking, because you guys always give such great answers. So next question, with NXT, becoming a little bit more popular, there was that kind of 2.0 experiment, but now is it possible we could see a return to the NXT line? Will we still see NXT superstars showing up in the main line? Is there anything special that's going to happen with NXT? And if not, what is the plan for NXT?
Yeah, I mean, we are working on NXT talent across our lines right now, so they're coming. I think, there was a little bit of maybe instability, right, with I guess characters' longevity. Like, you had a period of like very safe bets, right? And then it became a little more experimental, and you kind of can't take those bets anymore, right? You need that stability, and to be able to just say, hey, this guy's going to be somewhere, or this girl is going to be somewhere a year from now when this figure comes out. And it just got a little murky there for a minute. And it doesn't mean those talent aren't going to come eventually, right? Because people get called up to the main roster, they get elevated on NXT. It just takes longer for us as a company to say, okay, now's the time to pull the trigger and execute a figure of this superstar. But like I said, stability helps. The brand is already in a different place right now. And we do have figures in the works. So yes, they're coming. As far as the NXT line, I don't see it happening in the near future. It's always an option, just like we brought back defining moments, we brought back legends, we brought back retros, and NXT line remains an option for us. It's just, opportunity. What's that opportunity going to be?
Yeah, I would say that if people remember when the original NXT line hit targets, NXT's popularity was exploding. It was through the roof at that point, and you were starting to see that transition of early guys like Finn Balor move over to the main roster, and now it's kind of rebuilding. So, if it gets to that explosion point again, I think it's always very interesting. And NXT has had a longer lifespan now, also. So, there's like it provides a wider portfolio of options to scroll through.
Yeah, even Roman Reigns in that original line, right? So think about that and where he is now. The next Roman Reigns could be there, and it could be just kind of that perfect timing where maybe it is something that could work again. So
yeah, and lines unfortunately have to sunset at times. And if something goes away, that opens up the door of opportunity for something, to bring something back like an NXT line or something totally new. So we'll see. We'll have to see, but we will be cognizant that there are people who want an NXT focus line.
Cool. Good to know. So this next question, I feel like if I don't answer it, the next time I'm out at a public facing event, I might get set on fire. But I really need to ask in terms of Hogan figures, right? We just saw some more coming out at the Mega Powers launch party. We of course have the Mega Powers 2-pack. I'm very happy with them. I'm excited to see so many Hogans. I think they look good. The choices that have gone into them. I think a lot of people are happy with them, but the question does still come up. And I'd like to ask what goes into the thought process for a tan kind of hot dog looking Hulk Hogan, which is a very distinct skin tone that we see for him in different stages of his career, almost his whole career, versus a little bit lighter of a skin tone. And then also the same question for the torso selection. What goes into the thought process for the torso selection of Hulk Hogan, which has been mentioned a bunch of times that it's a little bit smaller of a torso than some people are expecting for Hogan. I think it fits really well.
Rob selected the torso and skin tone, and he's satisfied. So I gotta go. No, so
there are people setting my house on fire right now. So I think
I'll dodge a little bit because Bill's not here, right? So this is really a design question for Bill. I'll just say, that he, in his POV, Hogan's skin tone does change from younger Hulk to older Hulk. And obviously his physique changed over the years, right? From the 80s into the early 90s to the, WrestleMania 9 / WCW eras, and then into the comeback era, we'll call it. Quite a lot of change in the body. So, I'm sure design works, with their library of parts as best they can to choose parts that work. And I did see some specific suggestions on different torsos to use. One of the problems with some of those suggestions, because we did explore thoroughly, is you start to create height differences, right? And I think we have a pretty decent consistency of Hulk Hogan figures across the board for their height right now. And those torsos, specifically the earlier elite, older Hulk, right, where he had jeans on, that torso combined with the wrestling gear legs would have added significant height to the figure. So it became not an option that we could pull the trigger on. So anyway, long story short, once again, we want to listen to you guys and give you what you want. So we already have in development, I've seen the sculpt already, a new torso, a brand new torso for your post WrestleMania 9 Hulks. It's looking good so far. So that will be implemented in early 2024. And we are currently looking at a revised skin tone for the older Hulk Hogan figures as well. So we hope to address both issues in the very near future. There will be a few more coming out, like the Legends figure and Mr. America, that have the older torsos and skin tones. But shortly after that, you'll be seeing a brand new torso and a darker, tanner skin tone on those later career Hulk Hogan figures. So I hope that makes everyone happy. I guess we'll finally see the happiness if people are satisfied with final product. But we're going to do our best to satisfy you with these revised new deco and sculpt changes to the Hulkster.
Steve, what a powerful answer, man. Thank you so much. Diving into that. I know it's not an easy question to answer, and we of course appreciate the transparency, and of course it sounds like you are listening, right? You and God bless him, Bill, on the design team as well. You guys are you always have your ears to the ground, right? And I think it's reflected in the work, and it will continue to be in the future. So thanks. Yeah,
thanks for that. And just because we're not talking about it doesn't mean we're not exploring, right? I laid out that whole scenario of the torso exploration. That's just being done in the background, and we're trying to make those improvements, and then the decision just comes like it ain't working, so we're going to tool up something new just for Hulk. So more to come on that, and we'll do that across the board, not just with Hulk figures, but I'm always listening. I read everything you guys post in the Q&As to me, and I look around the other threads in the forums, and I'm plugged in on social media, so I see it, and I push for things. It's just it comes down to the right moments and the right opportunities, and is the tooling dollars available, the whole 9 yards. So we'll do everything we can to make you happy.
The line is always evolving, brother. Okay, next up, will the new Dropdown hips in Ultimate Edition, will those be incorporated into the Legends or Elite lines?
They are going to be predominantly used in Ultimates only. There's a chance you sometimes see them pop up in Elite here and there, just like sometimes you see the Elite toe articulation, the Ultimate toe articulation on a few Elite figures here and there. But really that the extra cost of that is by the higher price point of the Ultimate figure, right? So we're gonna pretty much keep it strictly to Ultimate Edition.
Cool, good to know. Thank you. Can you give us an update for women's superstars in general, whether it be like Legends, anybody that's on the current roster? Can we expect female figures in the top pick series or the standard Elite lines? Like to what level is that changing at all with the popularity? Obviously, we saw that new Rhea Ripley. Anybody else to think about or consider that'll be featured?
I think at this time, the female talent and the strategy behind them of getting them out with regularity has got like a really nice pace going. There's good representation wave to wave in both elites and basics. Top picks, sure. Top picks is just about like who's going to be the talent who's going to be there, and I think that the female superstars have proven that that they're just as viable as the male superstars in action figure form. So it's a completely different era, and we know that there's always asks for new female superstar figures who so that way there aren't getting repeats. And I think that we've done a good job of doing that also. New looks, new talent, just kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of what's really hot. And just like with everyone else, it's like if we can get in some new talent, like we have with Stacy and Molly in recent history, then we're going to do it. We're going to pull the trigger. We love them just as much as the guy talent.
Cool.
And you'll see them everywhere. Rhonda is already, we've announced her for being in top pick elites. We attempt to have at least one, sometimes two woman figures in each wave of basics and elites. They're present in 2-packs regularly. And we'll just keep pushing, for as much as we can do. There is a higher percentage of male performers on the roster and as legacy talent, so that will always skew things a little bit more male heavy, especially when you think of the whole history of WWE. But anyone to us, we're going to do everything we can to get them out in figure form.
Cool. Sounds really exciting. And yeah, certainly no shortage of women's superstars coming, right? In any respect. So next question, we've seen a lot of changes to elite packaging over the years, right? Are similar changes being considered for Ultimate Edition figures? And if so, could packaging be customized? We see this kind of on Ringside exclusives, right? We're very happy to have that on our packaging. It can be kind of geared towards whoever the specific superstar is. But as much as we'd like to keep that only to Ringside Collectibles, is this possible anywhere else, whether it be the Elite line or the Ultimate Editions?
So I think you already see it to like a low-key extent on executions like Collector's Edition Undertaker and British Bulldog. So yes, it's totally possible to do custom packaging catered to the superstar or a celebration of an event. I don't think you can see it across the board, because what a huge lift that is, because just the sheer amount of action figures we make every year, it's just like it's incredible, right? I don't even know if anyone even compares to the SKU count, insider term, right? The amount of SKUs, the amount of figures that we do in the WWE line compared to another line. So, I don't think we could, in good conscience, put that type of a burden on our packaging team to do custom packaging for every single, elite figure. But for special occasions, absolutely, we will continue to do things like that Collector's Edition Bulldog, and give them the special treatment, when there's a larger celebration to warrant it. Was there a question about packaging change
for Ultimate Edition?
Yeah.
So there are like certain elements of Ultimate Edition that have really become signature. So with Ultimate Edition, where for example, you take a look at the shelf behind Steve, we want to make sure that you can line up all your Ultimate Editions by the side, and they'll have that cool profile, and just look really, really nice side by side. That's been something that's very important. There's actually been discussions on making sure that we preserve that. Certain things do have changes just depending on the SKU. For example, the Coliseum collection, those are packed out in that old blister card style packaging. As you can see on the top shelf behind Steve there, which is obviously a different form. Plus, it's a Mattel Creations buy. Plus, so it's within a shipper. So there's like a couple different factors. However, the shipper is still maintaining that signature profile, so you can put it in display. So I think that Ultimate Edition plays out a little bit differently. They do. There are some slight changes from segment to segment. So the Ultimate Edition Legends and the other ones that are more store specific have slight color variations, but just slight to the main line, so that way it's not like overly distracting, but still fits in nicely. So I think that like for us, Ultimate Edition is one that we definitely want to try to preserve as much as possible, still differentiating it when necessary or appropriate, but definitely want to make it shelfable.
And I want to address some, I don't know if this was tied into the question or not, but concerns over changes to Ultimate Edition packaging as things evolve in the hobby and the industry. At least for the foreseeable future, there's no changes coming to Ultimate Edition standard packaging. Like this is what we're going to be doing for at least the next 2 years, right? That we're currently planning for. Discussions beyond that just haven't happened yet, but no plans to change anything. You're still going to get this style box, execution, just some graphic changes when, there's a specific retailer or execution in mind, but we're keeping the structure, size, everything intact for Ultimate Edition. So there's going to be consistency for the very foreseeable future.
So next question, somebody had asked about later career versions of legends, right? So for example, like Dusty Rhodes was in the NWO just kind of randomly because, I think maybe even I was in the NWO at one time. So everyone was part of that group. Isn't kind of an older looking heel Dusty Rhodes possible, or like a Millennium Man era Sid Vicious, like those kind of names that we know? Can more obscure looks come out possibly more often?
I don't know about more often, but can we do them? Yes. Do we want to do them? Yes. Just finding what's that?
I was gonna say, have they been discussed before and kind of like early conversation? Yeah, there's all stuff that's like come up of like, in discussions, right?
Yeah. So they're popular with us, right? We need to find suitable homes for them, and you negotiate a little bit. Like as a team, when we do these lineup things, we're just shooting out ideas of what we think the best possible lineup will be. And of course, these names get pitched, but sometimes they get bumped out for something that maybe might be a better execution at the time, or there's a reason, right? Maybe there was an ask to include X superstar in a lineup, and we have to sacrifice somebody. So we know you guys want them. We definitely want them. There's several I can rattle off now. I will. Why not? Right. I want Duggan from, his Ruthless Aggression run with the shorts. I want, Roddy Piper's like final active run in WWE when he was tag team champions with Ric Flair. I would love another Flair from that era, or Evolution era Flair, maybe with a revised torso. So, I mean, we want them for sure. And we'll
Janitor Duggan with the TV title in the trash can.
Well, I mean, that was definitely an idea. I was like, why don't we do Duggan in the shorts with the janitor as soft goods, janitor gear as soft goods on top, and you get a 2-for-1 Duggan and throw in the title. But we're always thinking about it, right? Like that detail that Rob and I just shared, on the fly, just shows you we are talking about these things all the time, in great detail, with lots of ideas of how we can accomplish them. So it's just a matter of time before you see them start popping up more and more.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that the track record is also proven as such. I mean, when you think about the figures and the characters who we've gotten out over the past few years with an insane amount of regularity, it's all a matter of like not if we can do it, but when we can do it and where we can do it.
Nobody ever expected the goon, right? So anything can happen.
The goon. Yeah.
Has there ever been a consideration for accessory packs for figures released that may have in the past that may have not included accessories? This person gave an example of like a Randy Savage figure having like multiple different versions of Savage, that maybe there's like a jacket that you weren't able to do at the time. Would you consider that either for like a re-release or a future release of the same figure, maybe in the Greatest Hits line, or is the possibility of like an accessory pack ever on the table? We've seen that really sparingly in the past. We saw like a championship accessory pack years and years ago, and we haven't really seen it happen too much since then. Could accessory packs ever come back, and if so, could they feature more specific items specific to certain superstars, we'll say?
So first, or part of the question was, can we re-release a figure but include some missing accessories? So yes to that. The most recent Ultimate Warrior Ultimate Edition figure, there was some extra detail added to that, like with the tassels that are on his shoulders that weren't included on the original Defining Moments figure, that the one Rob has there. And then I believe the addition of the wrist wraps and tassels, that's a new piece as well that wasn't on the older figure. So yes, we can revisit older figures add to them. If there are macho men, as an example, that didn't have jackets or robes, we can redo those at any time, right? If we want to slide in a macho man, and do it up and plus it up with new gear. So that's an option for us. Figures with accessories, that's an option for us. We introduced I don't know the name, Rob, so you might know the name of it, but there's those figures with accessory packs now, basic figure plus like multiple accessories.
I think they're just deluxe action figures is what they're calling from the basic figure, and then it's kind of got like a bit more accessories for people to do exactly that.
Yeah, so if they take off, maybe that's an opportunity to get out, some sought after specific accessories. Because right now, I think it's just like you're more generic, battle in a box type of a thing. Mm-hmm. But we could get more specific. Accessory packs with just accessories or clothing, I personally want to refrain from that, because I think it's more worthwhile to get you out a figure, right, for that SKU. There's only so much development that you can possibly do when you're working on the team, right? You only have so much bandwidth. So maybe this is too much insider baseball, but hey, look, I'm pretty open, so I tell you these things, right? Do we want to spend our time developing an item, where it's miscellaneous requested accessories, or do we want to spend that time developing, which is the same, like on paper, the same amount of effort and resources as redoing that Defining Moments Ultimate Warrior as an Ultimate Edition figure, right? So when I see that presented to me, I'm going to pick the Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior figure. Mm-hmm. Because you have to choose. You have to choose at the end of the day. You can only do X amount of SKUs per year, and I'm going to choose that awesome figure execution instead of, guardrails or a belt pack. But that's just me, and I could be outvoted, but that's my take on things.
No, I think that's a fair point, just kind of speaking from the other side, because if you were to have, say, an accessory pack with like the Macho Man accessory, and then you had a Kofi Kingston shirt that was missing in one of the figures where he had the pants only, and then a Seth Rollins pair of sunglasses that he wore that we weren't able to include, or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. WWE is different than some other action figure lines where you could take accessories and kind of mix and match. If you were to do it in that way, it would be like so specific. You would need to have that specific figure and that specific selection of figures. So you're really kind of limiting your target audience. And then the other side is that if you do something that's like, okay, we'll do an NWO shirt and a DX shirt, and we'll do a title, it might feel a little bit too generic for people who have said, oh, I've already got those DX shirts and those stuff. So the executions that were mentioned with that Steven mentioned with the figures are way more preferable. It's a much better offering, just because of what this figure line is. It's kind of like incomparable to so many different action figure lines.
Incomparable indeed. So next question, with the popularity of crowdfunding that's worked out really well, it seems that it's a natural place for play sets and backstage areas and things like that, kind of those larger items that don't necessarily always fit at retail, but they've been at retail in the past, right? So I think that the question here from this person is, will we ever see those things again outside of a crowdfunded situation, like a backstage brawl, or we've seen, I think, the Wreck and Rig since last year's WrestleMania, and that kind of fits into I think a playset / backstage arena, if you want to consider it that. I think so, but are those things kind of off the table other than in a crowdfunded position?
It's not off the table. I mean, I'm sure you remember the 2 Kmart play sets. There was like a training play set and a backstage play set. And I love them. I thought they were great. I remember seeing one or both on display at Comic-Con one year as a diorama, and I thought they were fantastic. So I'll be honest, I do pitch their return often, but they're huge and they're high price points, so that makes it difficult for them to be placed at retail. So if there is an opportunity at retail where they want an item that large and at that price point, I will absolutely try to pitch and shoehorn in something like that, whether it's revisiting those two older items or something new. It's just, me keeping my eyes and ears open for those moments where, something like that would be suitable for a retailer's needs. So yeah, I hope they come back. But if not, maybe online is another option for them. But the same thing, it has to be a request. A retailer, has to want that, and it has to be a specific, need that needs to be fulfilled to bring those back. Once again, very insider baseball, the detail I'm giving you, but I'd rather you guys know how the process works, and why, we're not just blowing off these things, like these ideas, just because, like, we want to accomplish all these things for you guys. And it's a new era. It's a new era of action figure photography and display that is quite different than when those play sets were first available. So it would be great to get them out again, and we're gonna keep trying.
I have a couple more questions that I think are good ones to wrap up on. And the first one is a question that's asked a lot over the years, and it's been a while, so I figured it's maybe a good time to revisit it. Any progress with WWE on getting any sort of classic referee figures made? Someone like an Earl Hebner, or a Nick Patrick, or even like a Tim White. Are referees ever going to make an appearance in the line?
I talked about my checklists earlier, and Rob knows these things, how often I bring up a lot of this stuff. Referees, whether it's classic or modern, are very near the top of my to-do checklist, and I am trying to find every way to make it happen. And I think I'm close. So give me a little more time. Give me a little more time to work with my great partners at WWE, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen. We did get Danny Davis out, though.
I know.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That was actually a very exciting moment, because we hadn't had a ref at that point, and we had Danny Davis on our Legends list being able to do so. What an opportunity, and I'm glad that we took advantage of it.
All right, guys. So for the last question, I think we always end up here, right, at the Q&A. Like, there's normally a massive list of names. Like, will we get this person? Will we get this person? I'm still waiting on, Hardcore Holly forever. What can we do? What is in store for us in terms of never before seen superstars, legends, probably in particular, in the upcoming year, possibly upcoming 2 years? That you can give us? Is there anyone on any of the list of names that we know is out there, and we know who's on it? What can you say? Anything you can say in terms of who we're going to see in the future? Give us a big scoop. Is it possible?
Yes.
For once?
Yes, we will have new action figures coming in the future. We're always on the lookout,
and some will be women.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
We've got an ever-growing list and an ever-growing want list, and it's like there are past dictates future. So if you take a look at our recent past, I think it kind of can dictate the future for that answer. I think that's probably the best way that at least I feel comfortable answering that question.
Interesting, Rob. Very ominous.
I appreciate it, Rob. You're tiptoeing, but I'm not going to tiptoe. I'm not going to tiptoe. So I'm wearing a shirt, right? I'm wearing a shirt of two superstars. When this shirt was released, everybody was like, "Oh, they have a Legends deal. Mattel, make them." So that's my impersonation of some fans. Oh, sorry, guys. But
that's an impersonation of me. When I was like, "Steve, we got the Steiner Brothers at Hall of Fame. When are we going to make them?"
Right,
like,
but we didn't.
Like, Rob, I'm trying to talk to management over here.
Right, but we didn't. But we didn't have them. We didn't have them. But we do now. We have the Steiner Brothers.
Both of them?
We have both Steiner brothers.
Both Steiner brothers.
Steiner. So nothing to show you, but I'm excited to announce that the Steiner brothers will finally be in the Mattel WWE line.
Woo!
Holy guacamole. That is a
multiple
scoop.
figures across multiple lines. So, you know, news that we've been waiting for. You know, like I said, we're all longtime fans, and getting the Steiners is huge for us. We're so excited. And the second both were signed, we got to work. So more to come on exactly where you'll see them first and how you'll see them, but they are coming. So big news there that we're excited about, and more signings and more superstars and more first time in the line. You know, not only contemporary talent, but legends as well are coming, already in development. And we'll be announcing those shortly, but I'm only telling Steiners today.
Okay.
Well,
all right. That's fine.
Well, I'll just kind of like just add on to a piece of that Steiner's news, because it's huge. They are two massive bucket list figures that we've had for a really long time. On top of that, two guys who we were like, you know, will we ever get a chance to do them? And it just shows that anything and anyone is possible with the right amount of time, with the right amount of persistence. I can't wait to see what's actually coming down the line with these guys, because as soon as the Hall of Fame hit, like Steve said, it's like, oh, it's the just the possibility, right? That was like, oh, this is possible. The ideas immediately start just kind of like bursting out of your head, and you're like, we can do this one, we can do this one, we can do the singles run, we can do the tag run. It's so many possibilities. I'm just excited, and as I know everyone else should be. If you're not excited, what are you even doing watching this? Because us doing the Steiner brothers is truly about as big as it gets.
Multiple representations across like multiple tag team single runs, eras, just from like, you know, start to finish. Basically, like the Steiner brothers are professional wrestling almost more than pretty much anyone else you could name. So that's a huge get. One of the last unturned stones, right? And the last really major ones, at least in my opinion. And I think it's great news to hear. I don't know that we can top a scoop like that. So thank you for letting us know here at the Q&A. And look, you got your answer. Yeah, that's a total mic drop. There's Robert, just absolutely warranted to do that mic drop for sure. So the Steiner brothers are coming in multiple forms across multiple waves. Very cool to hear. Very cool to know. Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us today. You always answer questions so thoughtfully and efficiently, and I know it means a lot to me. It definitely means a lot to the fan base as well. So thank you for talking to us. And anything else you'd like to say? This is our last chance until probably WrestleMania. So any more? Do you have a question for anybody out there? That's the real question.
Well, I have a question. I don't have a question, but thanks for being on this ride with us. I'll say that I just passed, and I want to do an Instagram post of it, but I've been so busy. I just passed my 5-year mark at Mattel. And it's been one, thank you.
Attaboy. Congratulations.
It's been one hell of a journey these last years in, you know, making dreams come true for myself. And I hope dreams come true for a lot of you collectors out there. I hope you've seen, you know, what we've been able to accomplish in these last 5 years of, you know, more first time in the line legends, executions like you've never seen before, like the new generation arena, and so many other things that you've been asking for. And we have a dream team, you know, in place right now with Rob, super passionate, Bill, of course, legendary, his manager, Bill Beneke, like our Gandalf, basically, George, Bruce, Lawrence on packaging, Liv, you know, Mark and Ralph on development, and Joseph, you know, my director, and Jake, you know, my marketing partner, and Stacy, who's new on board now. But, you know, we have like these people who are just like the best in the business at what they do. And, you know, we hope that you're enjoying this as much as we've enjoyed bringing you this product these last several years, because I think it's probably one of the best times in history for being a wrestling figure collector. And, you know, that's just not what this team is doing. It's what you're seeing across the board. But what an exciting time. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are happy and excited. And, you know, when it's all said and done, you look back at this period of time very fondly.
I just stopped listening as soon as I started picturing Bill Beneke and a giant wizard beard. So I can't top what Steve said. I can only echo it. I mean, it's true. We've got you guys to thank, and for always hosting us here, Ringside. Thank you to you guys. The connection that we feel like that we've got with the community, and we hope that you guys feel with us. This is definitely a truly special time to be working on a truly special brand. So just wanted to say thank you to all involved.
No doubt. We appreciate you guys, and we're happy to be here for you and provide that connection. And we appreciate all the fans, of course, and collectors that keep this going as well and keep us all busy in our day-to-day lives. So guys, thanks so much. The Mattel WWE design team, Robert Rudman, Steve Ozer, so happy to have you here. So happy with all we've been through this season. And I again, can't thank you enough. And we will see you next time.
See you at WrestleMania.
And that
see you at WrestleMania.
Final.